Hey, it's Josh, and in this video I wanted to talk about something that was brought up in a few of the comments on some of my previous videos, and that is the idea or the concept of letting go. Basically what some viewers were asking is, how do you let go, or what is letting go? And I realized that's actually a really good question, because in answering it in the comment section on the video, I found that it was actually pretty hard to describe, because letting go is sort of like the absolute doing of nothing. And it's something that you experience, you know, where it's not like, okay, something you do, go do letting go, because it's the doing of nothing. So I decided to make a video on it. And even in the process of making this video, I wrote down some points and some descriptors and some references to talk about. And I shot this video already once and got rid of it, because I realized that the best way to describe it is to let go into the experience of making the video as well. The more I try to overthink it and explain it with point forms and notes, the less understandable or relatable it's going to be. So even in making this video, I was challenged with letting go into this experience as well. So I'm going to do my best to describe what letting go means to me, also based on what I've read and my experience of that. So hopefully, through a number of different ways of approaching this idea, this concept, something I talk about here will be relatable to each of you, anyone here viewing. First of all, the way I described it to one of the viewers who wrote in was to compare it to a performance of a sport, so a sporting activity. So if you're an athlete, or if you're, a weekend warrior, you have some sort of athletic activity that you enjoy performing and you've been doing for years. At first, obviously, you have to practice it and learn the skills, but eventually, if you're really into the sport, you're really passionate about it, it becomes second nature. So when you get really wrapped up in the performance of the sport, you're in the midst of a game or practice, you're not typically thinking about what move you're going to do next. You're not overanalyzing what's happening. You're not thinking about the last game or what's happening tomorrow or your to-do list. You're totally in the moment, and you're in the zone, is what people might call it. It's the same for musicians and artists. Obviously, some people are naturals, but there's some technical training that might go into learning your craft, and then once you're done the thinking part of it, you can get into just getting into the flow of creating art or music. And that's where people might say, wow, it felt like it was coming from the heart, or wow, that was like completely authentic, or the artist might say, I don't know, my hand was just doing its thing. It was creating itself, almost like they were the conduit for the creation of the art or the music. That's very similar to the experience of letting go into a meditation or a psychedelic experience. And I think this is a very fundamental concept related to achieving like a higher level of spiritual awareness or consciousness, or the elusive idea of enlightenment. We can't really think our way into that state of awareness. It's almost like you have to let go of your beliefs, let go of overthinking, let go of your fears and doubts and judgments, your attachments and desires. Let all of that go and let yourself just be completely present. And it's difficult in our society because, at least for myself, and I know a lot of others, especially in Western society, tend to want to intellectualize everything. We want to analyze, we want to have our mind be in control of it. And even in spiritual quest, we have the practices that we have to do, and when we have like epiphanies and awarenesses, or at least when I have that, I tend to want to analyze it and think about what it means, and that's all great, but at some level, to move past this, to become more connected with your higher self, there's even letting go of that analysis and thinking and figuring out and doing, and just letting yourself completely be. The scary thing of that for me is letting go of my ego, my thinking mind. I feel like I might lose something, I might forget something, I might lose the lesson, or I might forget how I achieved that level of awareness, sort of thing. And we're so attached to our thoughts as a crucial part of who we are. But when you find, what I found is when you can truly let go, there is a higher self, your true self, can lead the way. It already knows. It's almost like you have to forget what you've learned so that you can remember what you already know. And in that state of quietness and stillness of letting go, your authentic self, your higher self, can lead. And this is where the magic happens. So a few other words that are relatable to letting go that might help you conceptualize what this means might be release, surrender, non-attachment, non-judgment, stillness, and acceptance, like total acceptance of what is. In my experience, the best way to practice letting go is to practice meditation. And there are many different forms of meditation, but really what I found meditation to mean for me is the practice of surrendering, just completely letting go, letting your mind become still, and instead of looking for answers externally, moving inward and letting your intuition, your gut, your true self lead. And there's, knowledge and answers beyond your intellectual mind's comprehension that are waiting for you when you're able to do that. So I wanted to just share that the idea of letting go of desires. There was a really nice chapter in the book Be Here Now, a quote that I liked that related to that. Get free of desire. It's a little like a roller coaster. This is just the way it works. You know how it is. You've been working really hard on yourself and you're very pure and something very high happens to you. You feel liberated. And then your ego walks around and pats you on the back and says, pretty good, look how holy you're becoming. And then you fall again. All this stuff happens when you're extricating yourself from the web of desire, which is your ego, which is your cognitive framework of the universe. It's all the same thing. And this extrication, believe me, doesn't happen without an internal struggle. So I really found that relatable. In my experiences, letting go, there's always that ego trying to jump in and take you out of the moment and say, oh great, you did it, now let's think about it. So that struggle is natural and it feels like it's just part of the process. So you have to just trust the process and keep working with releasing it. And a big part I've found is letting go isn't about resisting or fighting your thoughts and your ego. It's about allowing them and then becoming unattached to them, just releasing them. It's a gentle process. It's not like a resistance or a fighting process. There's another piece I'd like to share with you from the Bhagavad Gita. And this relates to letting go of your attachment to your senses and your thoughts. Thinking about sense objects will attach you to sense objects. Grow attached and you will become addicted. Thwart your addiction and it turns to anger. Be angry and you confuse the mind. Confuse your mind and you forget the lesson of the experience. Even a mind that knows the path can be dragged from the path. The senses are so unruly. But he who controls the senses and recollects the mind, I call him illumined. So I found that very poignant as well. And that helped me sort of realize that by even trying to resist your desires or fight against them, you become even more attached to them, or you become angry about it. And there's a lot of angry people I've seen on their path to higher awareness, and they start to realize more things, and they start to get angry with the way things are, they start to become resistant of what's happening around them, really hung up on conspiracy theories and injustices that are going on. And I'm not saying that's not something that's important to be aware of, but if you obsess over that, you're so focused outwardly on your external, trying to fix things or change things externally without really doing the inner work, that can really distract you from moving into the higher level of consciousness. So to wrap up, I'd like to share with you a couple of videos that relate to letting go. They'll go far more in depth than I am in this video. And if you're really interested in getting into this topic and really understanding it and experiencing it fully, I suggest you check these out. I'll post them up on the screen as well as in the description section. One is Alan Watts talking about letting go, and Alan Watts is he's a great thinker, and he can really make a topic understandable, I find. So definitely check out that video. And the other one is Samadhi. It's a video series actually on Awaken the World film. All of their videos are terrific. But samadhi in particular, the documentary Samadhi, really explains what letting go means, and it gets really into surrendering your ego and how you're not going to think and analyze and effort your way into higher realization. It's a really difficult topic to explain, and this video does a great job of it. So check that out. There are also some guided meditations that follow the Samadhi documentary, and they also really help to explain the process of practicing letting go. So I hope you found this video interesting. It's definitely a powerful topic to get into. It might seem like a simple subject, letting go or surrendering, but I'm finding that that's like, for me, that's like the axis that all of the other stuff is circling around in my practices of towards more spiritual awareness. So definitely consider what letting go means to you, and be open to surrendering yourself to the process and trusting that there is a you, a higher self that may present itself through intuition or your gut, that knows what is best and will lead if you let it. Sending you love and light, and if you have any questions or comments, please do post them down below, and until next time, stay awake.